Good afternoon and welcome to this week's and the first of this month's Tuesday Talks through In Control Scotland. And as it's the first Tuesday of the month, this week we are joined by Dr Danielle Farrel, who is going to be talking to us about products, aren't you, Danielle?
Yeah, some products that I have used, that I have reviewed, as well as other things I've been considering in terms of your options understood work.
Okay. So just for everyone, to remind everyone, this talk will be about half an hour, and it's being broadcast through Facebook, YouTube, through Danielle's on YouTube, and also this from now on through the Citizen Network TV YouTube as well. So you can watch it in lots of different places if you like.
Yeah.
Come back and watch it in a different place later. So I will leave you, Danielle, and I'll be putting up the presentation as you want it soon as well.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm just going to go.
So hi everyone, it's nice to be back again. It's that time of the month. I don't know about you guys, but I actually can't believe it's March already. In some ways, time in lockdown seems to be going really fast, and there are other ways it seems to be going really slow. But I hope for the next half hour, you join me and maybe be able to get something out of today's topic. So as Keith said, I'm going to be talking a bit about disability aids, and I have prepared a presentation with some visuals and some description on it that I hope will illustrate what I'll be talking about. So if Keith would put that up now, that'll help with today's talk, or Tuesday talk, should I say. So yeah. So some of the pictures and things I'm going to talk about will not be a surprise to some of you watching, because either you know me and you know my views on AIDS and that I use certain ones, or being a disabled person yourself, or being a parent or a carer, you will be familiar with a lot of these things that I'm going to talk about today, but I just thought it would be an important topic to touch on it, and I'm going to be discussing it in relation to some of your options understood work. So if I can move on to the first slide. As I said, like many of you watching, who either have a disability yourself or care for somebody with a disability, you'll probably be familiar with a lot of this that I'm going to speak about, but and the whole concept around disability aids. But for me, due to my CP or cerebral palsy, I've grown up using it. But to be quite honest with you, and for those of you watching who know me, know what I'm like as a person, it wouldn't surprise you to know that while I was accepting of some aids that I must, I regarded other aids as optional. And to be fair, when I sit here now, and when I was preparing the presentation and thinking about it in terms of growing up, I was probably my parents' worst nightmare, and the worst nightmare of therapists who supported me as a teenager, particularly because I was quite, I suppose we could say, rebellious, if that's the right word, because I was like, no, I'm not using that. I'll find a way to do it without using the aid, because I didn't like many young people, I didn't want to be seen to stand out from my peers any more than I already did due to my wheelchair. or due to my disability, more should I say. And one of the things that I often find, and I'll go on to speak about my view of this more as we go through this presentation, but very much I tend to find that AIDS are either targeted at a very infant market or elderly market, in the sense of more for elderly people. So I'm sure if you've watched more than one Being Danielle, or you know me as a person, you know that I'm all about the colour and all about being trendy and stuff. And some of these aids don't fit with my outlook. And some of you might be sitting here watching it thinking that's very, I don't know, materialistic, maybe, if that's even the right word. But for me, it should, because you have a disability, these things should, because you need the aids to help you be independent, these things should make you stand out more than you feel that you're ready to at times because of your disability. Probably didn't explain that very well there, but I hope you get the point of what I mean. If Keith moves on to the next slide. So aids that I do use. So I've illustrated some of this or aids that I've used over the years. So as I said, bigger aids are essential, and it doesn't matter what my view is on them. I have to use them. So things like you see in the picture there, a stand-aid, I need that to move from A to B several times on a daily basis. So whether it's for personal care purposes or just transferring from a wheelchair to my comfy chair or my bed, there's no getting away from the fact that I need the stand-aid. And obviously my adjustable bed makes it easier to be supported and is also safer for me health-wise, like overnight and stuff. So that's a must, as is obviously my wheelchair, because I'm sitting in it right now, talking to you guys, and I wouldn't be able to sit at the computer and do the things that I do and go out and about when we are allowed to go out and about. I wouldn't be able to do any of that without my wheelchair, and more specifically my powered wheelchair, because equally I don't like using my manual wheelchair unless I absolutely have to, because then I have to rely on somebody to push me. But these bigger aids are essential, and there's no getting away from that. So my physio and occupational therapist, as a teenager and as a child, tried various aids with me. Things like aids to help you dress independently. Those just didn't work for me. They maybe helped slightly, but not so much. Like in any way that required me not needing assistance. So although I did try these, always aren't going to work for everybody. So what works for one person might not work for somebody else, or the way in which somebody uses a particular aid might be different from another person. So I think that these things always need to be kept in mind, that just because somebody, for example, has CP or has spinal bifida or any disability, just because one aid works for one doesn't mean the same aid is going to work in the same way for another person. As I said previously, as a teenager, I was probably my parents and therapists was made it as not only did I have my disability to contend with, but I also had the fact that I was a hormonal teenager and all that going on. And just, I was probably, when you think about it, looking back as an adult now, there's a whole lot of things that people, especially young disabled people, need to deal with. As they're transitioning from childhood to adulthood. So the fact that these things make them, although it will be making their life easier, it also makes them feel as if they're different to their peers. And having been that person, I can reliably say that it's not a nice feeling, as I'm sure a lot of you be watching this will be able to relate to, whether it's being a parent or a person with a disability. So there was other aids that just, as I said, just didn't work for me, but there was other ones that I was determined that I wasn't going to need. And this one that I could think about was cutlery. Over the years, cutlery specifically for disabled people was suggested. I'll be honest, I have tried it, and these things have got like adjustable handles or handles that have been put a certain way to make it easier to hold. But despite having tried them for myself personally, I came to the conclusion that if I was going to be able to use a fork or a spoon, I was going to do it the same way as everybody else. And at the age of 35, I can honestly say that this can sometimes be difficult, and that is the whole reason if I'm eating in public, I tend not to eat things like soup and stuff because they're awkward to eat. If I want to eat cereal, as stupid and as lazy as this might sound, cereal is difficult to eat in the sense that it takes longer and more concentration if I'm trying not to spill it. So I tend not to eat that like on a day that I know that I'm going out because I just know it's going to result in spillages and me taking more time. So, but I know this, and because I do know this, I'm kind of at the stage in life now where I kind of, whether consciously or subconsciously, make these decisions. And I'm not ashamed to admit that it still causes spillages even now. And some, I'm known to be to say, oh, I think I need a bib. But then I tend to just laugh about it because everybody has spillages, and yeah, it doesn't matter who you are or what, if you have a disability, if you eat dinner like spaghetti bolognese, it's going to tend to go everywhere. So I just tend to make a joke about these things, but it's my way of dealing with it. But equally, things like special cutlery is out there to help people with various disabilities. So if it's something you think might help you, I would definitely say give it a go. But remember that these things work for you, and I've just noticed the picture of that. That isn't my specific comfy chair, as I call it. I guess we'll refer to my wheelchair as my uncomfy chair if we're trying to differentiate. But it's just it gets uncomfortable if I need to sit in it and not have a choice of transferring somewhere else, I guess. But I have a comfy chair similar to the one in the picture, and going back to being a teenager, I did have a comfy chair when I lived with my dad. But as I said, I've been that awkward teenager, and at that time in my life, I didn't want to be the teenager who was stuck in the living room with their parents at all times. And if I sit in my comfy chair, that's pretty much what it means for me. I'm stuck in the one spot and I can't move. However, now that I'm in my own house and I'm older now, I tend to maybe sit in my comfy chair at night to watch TV or over the weekend, and especially over the recent months and weeks when we've been in lockdown and when I'm not working, I have been known to sit in my comfy chair more. So yeah, these are the aids that are what I use mostly, and my attitude to them has definitely changed as I've got older, which brings me quite nicely on to the next slide. So as I've said, I don't know if it comes with age, but I'm slightly more accepting of using aids now, not completely to be honest, but slightly more accepting than I was as a teenager. Maybe that's because you grow up a bit and you start to realise that it doesn't always matter how things might look, but equally, given how my logo for Your Options Understood has changed in recent months, I thought it was equally important to include that because that equally um, repeats my message, and a message I want for Your Options Understood is that people with disabilities should be encouraged to have their own identity. And I think it's quite nice how I've included the two in this slide because I've specifically put a cup that I do use at the moment, specifically when I'm having a cup of tea or a hot chocolate. And it's called the Hand Steady Cup. And some of you out there might be aware of this product, but the whole idea of the cup is that the handle moves, as you can probably see in the photo. So if I'm putting it up to my mouth, the handle moves as opposed to the cup moving and causing spillages. And the reason why I quite like this cup and will use it without too much convincing is because it has a lid, but it doesn't. To me, it isn't obvious that it has a lid, so I don't feel as if it makes me any different to anybody else drinking a normal cup, if we're going to use that word. What is normal these days? What's normal for me isn't normal for the next person and vice versa. But I hope you understand what I mean by that. Um, and what this cup also introduces quite nicely is something else I'm going to talk about quite soon. Is if I don't know if quite nicely was the right phrase, but this cup when I bought it the first time, I've had a couple over the years, but when I bought it the first time, it was like £40 for the cup. Now, for me, that definitely does illustrate how these kind of aids can quite often come with a disability price tag, because somebody that doesn't have a disability could go to Asda, Wilco's, anywhere that sells cups and cutlery and things, and buy a cup for a couple of pounds. But because you need a special cup that reduces spillages and puts you less at risk of burning yourself, there's automatically a price tag that's put on it because people need that aid, and that is something that I'm trying to sort of have a voice about through Your Options Understood work, which I'll go on to talk about in the next couple of slides if Keith doesn't mind moving it on. So I also included another aid there that I've used in the past. Now, for me personally, these don't work, but there might be loads of people watching actually shouting at the screen saying, "What are you talking about? These work great." And that's fine, they will work for us. But for me and my level of dexterity that I have in my hands, these just don't work. And for anybody that's watching that doesn't know what these are, it's a rubber jar opener. So the idea would be that you put it on the lid of a jar or a bottle, and it helps you open it by using that as opposed to trying to open the lid directly, if that makes sense. Um, um, and putting this presentation together, as I've already mentioned, it's made me think about what aids I do use and what aids I've used over the years. But it's also made me actually realise that I don't actually use that many aids that are specifically for the disabled market. In recent years, I don't think I've been conscious of this until quite recently, but in recent years, I've tended to use aids or items that are on the mainstream market that are actually there for anybody to buy and that don't have that price tag attached to them, but actually within their features have the ability to help people with disabilities live independently. And if Keith moves on to the next slide, I'll be able to talk about some of these examples. So up in the top right, beside me on my avatar, I have the 1 cup kettle. Now I use this because one of my goals was to be able to make a cup of tea independently for anybody who visits me. And this kettle boils and pours automatically, so it allows me to do this. On the bottom left is a smart tripod, and again, I bought this on Amazon for like £30. After Alistair, who some of you know through Control Scotland, suggested it to me. And the idea of this is when I'm vlogging for my own YouTube channel, I don't need somebody to hold the camera and or hold my phone rather, and once it's in the tripod, my phone can actually track me around the room as I'm recording. So that's good. And again, it didn't have the price tag. And the last one there at the bottom is the Echo Dot. I'm deliberately not saying the name because I'm having issues with my Wi-Fi, and if I say it today, my Echo Dot will come on and tell me that she's unable to connect to the Wi-Fi. So I've been hearing that all day, so I'll spare you that. But again, my Amazon Alexa has there, I've just said it, didn't mean to, but the Alexa Dot allows me to operate my TV without having to use the remote. And I also operate my lights in certain rooms in my living room. My living room and my bedroom, but I have a hub in it. The actual Echo Dot has the capacity to make your whole home a smart home. I just haven't got it working to full capacity, but it really does have the ability to make your home a smart home. I believe that if you bought certain types of plug sockets, you could tell the Echo Dot to switch on the kettle and loads of different things, but I just haven't got it working to full capacity yet. But again, that didn't come with the price tag either. It comes with disability because when I bought it, I think it was 40 or £50, but I believe now you can get it for as cheap as like £25. So I think these 3 items illustrate what is available on the mainstream market that anybody can have in their home. Like every second person has a version of the Echo Dot or some sort of smart speaker. And again with the kettle and the tripod, anybody could have these, and they don't come with the price tag. Lately I've been asked to do some reviews of aids for Active Hands, which is a company. I haven't actually found them yet because I've been trying the products. So some of them are there, like the Easy Grip, so that can go on like a can of juice, a toothbrush, a spoon, or anything like that. I have actually tried it on a spoon and a fork, and it works quite well. The The other one at the bottom right is a grip on your phone to make it less likely to drop. And the other sort of hand glove there is a similar item in the sense that it's for grip, and you can hold pens and toothbrushes and whatever. And I actually watched some videos yesterday, and it actually showed that people have a lot of the individual grips preloaded, so you can attach them depending on what item you need. So that's quite a good idea. And this is a lot of used work because I've done product reviews of some of the items that I've already mentioned on my own website or on news website to like sort of illustrate mainstream marketing items that are available. So that's some of the work that we've been doing lately, and we'll continue to do as we make more connections with more organisations. And this has led me to, if Keith will go on to the next slide, this has led me to think about how your options understood can actually be involved in changing the narrative and also changing the design of products that are available on the disabled market, to add colour and a bit of personality and give disabled people the opportunity to reflect themselves, whether this be on their wheelchair colour or whatever. I mean, you can't see today, but I've got a purple wheelchair, but I've added diamantes and things to it because that's just me and giving myself my wheelchair a bit of individuality, I guess. But I want to be able to give people the same sense of that individuality. And so area I've been exploring recently is in the seating of a wheelchair because it's often black, which I'm sure those watching can agree that if on the odd occasion that we do have warm weather in Scotland, the black material can sometimes become uncomfortable. So I'm looking at how this can maybe be changed or developed in some way. I don't want to say too much right now because it's in its very early stages, but some of you might see that I've been putting things out in social media looking for a bit of feedback over recent weeks. So keep your eye out for any of that. And if you feel that you can give me feedback on any of what I'm asking, that would be very much appreciated. So I think that might be the last slide or the second last slide. But yeah. I mean, in the bottom right corner there shows us an example of one of the products I came across, and that apparently that keeps you cool or keeps your seating cool in your wheelchair. But again, it's brown in colour, and to me that doesn't reflect somebody's individuality, and it's more probably aimed at elderly people as opposed to younger people. I mean, I know a lot of younger people that wouldn't have that in their wheelchair just because it's brown, and that's what I've, been trying to illustrate through this. So that's one example, and there doesn't seem to be anything in between for people. You're either an infant or you're elderly in the sense of the design of products. So yeah, that's just, I guess I'm still in my very early stages of these things, this thinking, and I've maybe got a prototype or two in hand. But just watch this space to see what comes out of it in the following months and weeks, I guess. Yeah. So thanks for joining me today. And I'll see you again next month, but hopefully we might be slightly further forward and knowing where we're going to be out of lockdown. So in the meantime, everybody stay safe. And I'll see you soon.
Sorry, I was just saying thank you, Daniela, but I've forgotten to turn my microphone on again as usual. Yeah, thanks, Danielle. That was really interesting. The different products, and yeah, we'll look forward to seeing. Well, anyway, it'd be interesting to see what happens with your different ideas around product designs and individuality, and yeah, where that goes to. You will be back next month. What's next month's topic, Danielle?
I think, if I remember rightly, it's on like disability awareness days and how there's often a lot of different awareness days around different disabilities, I guess.
Yeah, maybe if things go, maybe if we begin to get out of lockdown, we can do an outside being done.
Yeah, that would be nice.
That would be good fun.
Do one outside. Instead of people constantly seeing the clock behind my head. Okay. Thank you for joining us today. And Danielle will be back, as she says, next month on the first Tuesday of the month, and that would be just after Easter, won't it? Then. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.